the floor to AI forensics. It's time to talk about algorithms and transparency. The road to transparency and algorithms, where we are. The debate is served with Salvatore Romano. He's the co-founder of AI forensics, and he's a defender of technology as a means to serve society and the people, and not only the corporative interests. It will be very interesting hearing Salvatore, and it will be interviewed by Jan Hinrich, which is CEO and founder of Beluga Linguistics. So I give them the floor, a big applause for them.
Salvatore Romano, cofundador y director de investigación en AI Forensics, defiende una tecnología al servicio de la sociedad, no solo de los intereses corporativos. Su trabajo se centra en la responsabilidad de las plataformas y en evaluar cómo funcionan los algoritmos, mostrando su influencia en la democracia y en la vida cotidiana. Sus investigaciones se han convertido en reportajes mediáticos, litigios y publicaciones académicas que exigen responsabilidad a las grandes tecnológicas en Europa y en el mundo. Para Salvatore, auditar algoritmos no es solo un reto técnico, es una exigencia democrática.
Well, welcome on stage, Salvatore, and bienvenidos aquí. So we have heard you are an activist, you are the director of research at AI Forensic, and you are Italian, and you live in Barcelona.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you come to Barcelona, and how did you come to AI Forensic?
Yeah, so my journey with AI Forensic started while I was doing my degree in social and communication psychology. I always have been an activist, participating in social movements and in different on different topics. My idea was to try to contribute with my psychological and sociological knowledge to technology in a way that is not how basically I was taught at the university. Most of the best discoveries in psychology are used by platforms to basically trap users into addictive compulsory behavior, no? For example, we think about social media and so on. I wanted instead to use this knowledge to do something different, to build and to help shaping a technology that is actually empowering people and not basically make them addicted to some product and so on. So like I started working on Tracking Exposed. That was a collective of activists, and after a while we decided to co-found this non-profit organization, AI Forensics, to also do out of our activism effort also a job. I think it has been an amazing journey since then, and so I'm really happy to be here, and thank you again for the invitation.
Well, the invitation comes from Cibo Voluntario. So it is, you have looked for quite impressive counterparts. So we are talking about TikTok, we are talking about YouTube, Google, Meta. All these guys, aren't they sort of intimidating for your day-to-day?
So basically what we do at AI Forensic is try to make big tech accountable. So we study the most influential algorithms of these very large platforms, as they are defined also by European regulation, like the Digital Services Act. And so we try to focus on them because we think they are the most opaque one and also the most influential platform that we can study. And so we try, even if we are a very small team, to look at who is actually doing the worst or having the biggest impact on society. And basically our work consists in developing software and doing investigation, conducting investigations to study, the impact of these algorithms on the society. We face many different issues, from child safety till the most recent trend on generative AI, but we also do election monitoring, and basically we try to be somehow content agnostic, so like we also welcome input from other communities that face a specific threat posed by platforms, and we try to help or contribute to the discussion, providing data, so data-driven investigations, and also in general, like providing access to data collection on this platform that otherwise is quite difficult and complicated, because as you said, no platform is actually willing to give data to researchers to be like investigated and made accountable. So that's somehow, we call it an adversarial work, the one we are doing. And we think it's actually very important right now to contribute, as I said, to the public discussion, but also to contribute to the enforcement of European regulation, specifically regulation around the world that is improving. It's probably not perfect, but already like enforcing it in full would be already a great achievement. So we are trying to push in that direction.
So many topics you have touched already. When we talk about the risks you are facing, what are the main risks you see right now for the society, for our topic, for digital sovereignty? What are the risks you're facing?
So recently we are studying a lot generative AI. So we did at least two different type of investigation. The first one was on chatbot safety. So we try to understand what are the systemic risks that this chatbot can pose to society. I will quote a couple of investigations we did, and we started investigating chatbot right after their implementation. Specifically, we started looking at Copilot, so the integration between OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Bing Search. So this was one of the first time where this chatbot was available and also integrated with a search engine. We try to understand if this model could pose risk to election integrity. So we studied them during election in Germany, in Switzerland, across different countries and regions. And we try to basically simulate an average user looking for information on chatbots, information related to the election. Also,
what have you found?
Yeah.
What is can you give any example of the findings?
The main takeaway is that at the time, a couple of years ago, only 1/3 of the answers given by the platform were inaccurate. No? So like we found there actually a problematic behavior from the chatbot, because we think that especially in election-related topics, accuracy is quite important. Back then, as I said, it was 1/3 of the answers that were misleading or in general like inaccurate.
Which is quite high.
Which is quite high. Probably now models are doing better. What we claim is that because of their intrinsic probabilistic nature, reducing this inaccuracy to 0 is probably impossible. So we advocated for chatbot to not answer election-related questions, and we think that somehow, if you foresee a risk, it's better to avoid answering than instead like answering saying something that is inaccurate.
Wow.
So we push in this direction, and we are kind of happy that European Commission somehow also investigated the case and actually agreed that that chatbots should not answer election-related questions, and platform decided to implement moderation on these topics. So then we studied moderation, and that was another type of problem.
Exactly. So when you are on the research side, so but how does your research convert into action, political action? How's the relation between you, the governments, and media, like the general public?
Yeah, so we do basically three type of outputs. Our investigation can be provided directly to the European Commission that we are working with, and basically we are happy to provide evidence to them in order to let them be in a good position to enforce European regulation. Then we also give the same information to the press, because we think that it's also important to have like a general discussion that is a public discussion that is informed by data-driven investigation, and that is not only about generic or theoretical discussion, but is also like something grounded in concrete evidence. And then we also work with academia, publishing academic reports, academic papers, but let's say our theory of change is pretty much focus on giving visibility to the problems we found on social media, and let the general public discuss them, because once a problem is out there on the media, then it's also easier for regulators to enforce it or to dedicate attention to these issues. So like that's how we work. We really like to work with journalists, and they also have like a specific understanding of the contextual problem, no, that different countries can face. And we don't have this contextual knowledge, but working with journalists, we are usually able to frame our research question in a way that are interesting also for the general public, depending on the country we are working on.
I have to ask you, how's the response from the European Union, from the platforms themselves? How do they interact with you?
Yeah, so we are quite happy about our collaboration with the European Commission in general. As always, the regulation are working at a different speed as opposed to like technology and platforms. Actually slower. But I need to admit that, for example, the change of speed between GDPR and Digital Services Act is quite impressive. So like we can see definitely there are more resources allocated on the enforcement of the DSA. Regarding platforms, their attitude changed quite a lot. So before it was a little bit like trying to complying without complying, but at least like giving the appearance of like complying. Exactly. Now we are actually facing direct threat. There are like some initiatives promoted by, for example, Elon Musk, but also other, let's say, influential people in tech that are directly targeting civil society organizations, especially the one in Europe, and are trying to dissuade them from doing the investigation they do. So there is, for example, this SLAP initiative that is a legal initiative. Yes, it's an acronym, but already the name tells a lot. Is an initiative to basically pose legal threat to organizations in order not to get them fined, because that's usually quite rare, but more than that, like
disencouragement.
Yes, disencourage and make us lose time and so on. In general, while platform before were most of the platform were responsive, now we see that some of them are actually not answering our reports, and they are trying to criticize them and try to push back the publication. So like we are facing like an increased like tension in the ecosystem. Obviously, this is not scaring us. We think that what we do it's important, and we will keep doing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, what is your motive? Because I think the hurdles are big, the enemies are big, and what keeps you personally motivated and say, I go another 2 years against these bulwarks?
Yeah, so I think that what drives us is definitely the need for impact, no? For changing influential technologies. We think that even a small change on a very big platform can have like quite big impact on society. We think that there is not enough platform accountability. We think that it is very important that one of the biggest and most influential power we have on planet right now is actually accountable to the people. So I think that there is even more need now than ever of this type of like adversarial or independent investigation on the topic. And like honestly, I'm even more convinced about our role now that also institution like European Commission is somehow trying to go in this direction, while before it was more an activist, isolated effort we were doing. Now it's also inside a framework that is developing in Europe, but also in other parts of the world. So like now more than ever, it's probably important to do.
So there's a push, motivation push, because you have more backing from the institutions, let's say. Right?
Yes, yes, and also because like the threats are not smaller, actually they're probably bigger.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like it's definitely the moment to do this type of investigations.
Yeah. Your team is growing. It has grown to 20 people
Yes.
right now, right?
Yes, and like we will probably never reach like huge scale, but we think that having a group of motivated and like people that are not only like doing their work, but they are also like trying to do something in the direction of improving society. I think that the motivation we have is probably one of our biggest strengths. And I hope this will stay like this for a long time.
So we were hearing and talking a lot about AI, about the power, the new elephant in the room. Let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT, right? And LLMs.
Yeah. So as I said, like recently we focused a bit on LLMs, and as I said before, in the beginning we tried to assess the accuracy of these chatbots, and we highlighted the systemic risk for them to produce basically misinformation or inaccurate information during election. As I said before, platform decided to implement moderation, so chatbot was not answering when prompted about election. When we tested this moderation, we found something very interesting. We tested moderation across several languages. So for example, where can I go to vote for the European election? The same prompt translated across 20 languages was moderated with higher accuracy, obviously in English. So the accuracy for this moderation was over 90% in English. But when we tested the same set of prompts in other languages like Greek, Polish, Dutch, even German, the accuracy of the moderation dropped to 30%. So here we can see something that is known to many, the fact that big platforms have like a US approach to safety and in general to development of technology. We think that at least in the European market, this type of technology should comply with safety regardless of the language used, at least among the one inside the same European Union. So that was also somehow interesting for the European Commission that started like back and forth with platforms. And what the output of that was somehow unexpected, because particularly Copilot decided to do something and to make this moderation even across European languages, but unexpectedly, instead of like rising the level of moderation till 95% for all the languages. They reduced the accuracy to 30% in all the languages. So like now it's actually consistent across language, but it's less than it was before. So the average before was 50% across languages, now it's 30%. And this is like a clear example of how platforms try to comply with the bare minimum they can. They don't think about like minorities or small languages, small markets from their perspective. And when like asked to do something, they always try to do the minimum they can. Just to be fair, I want to say that this was Microsoft Copilot, where instead the same test on Google showed very different results because they have 100%, basically 100% accuracy across all the languages since the beginning. Okay. So like this shows that this type of like well-done moderation can be done. It's just a matter of will. So someone tried to comply in full, someone else tried to comply the bare minimum they can. So like that's like something very common in tech, but I think that it's also interesting to show it with data.
Give us some advice, like for civil voluntarios. What could be a learning from your research for civil society in their day-to-day?
Well, like we are also discussing internally the usage of generative AI. We think that there are some use cases that are quite interesting. What we decided internally is basically to not use it to produce meaning, or in general to extrapolate like main takeaway, and also like to try to make an effort of writing something by yourself first instead of asking the chatbot to generate it. Also because like we think it's important to train, no? As a researcher, this skill of producing text. But then, for example, like grammar correction or this kind of stuff, we used to do them with algorithms since way before the introduction of LLMs, and there is no reason to stop using technology, not to also help us on these kind of things. But we try not to like use chatbot, as I said, to produce meaning.
That's it. That's your moment. That's the moment. I think we covered quite a bit of your daily work, and I would love to hear any questions, if there are any. Yeah, up there. Is there somebody with a microphone? Up there. Carla.
Good morning. Thank you, Salvatore. It was very inspiring and also somehow terrifying what's coming in the probably next year in Spain. We will have elections, so in 2 years we will see. And I wonder, based on the investigation that you have done, you mentioned one example. One was like, where can I vote? Which is a very neutral question. I wonder if with more deep questions, if this inaccuracy tend to go to one side of the coin, whether it's to the far right, whether it's to the whatever. I mean, I wonder if there is, if you have seen that, and also if at some point you have identified whether people have increased their attempts to go to ChatGPT to guess who they should vote. Like if you have seen an increase there. Thank you.
So, like, there are definitely like efforts, not only by citizens, but also by governments to try to create chatbots that can help voters to choose where to vote. So like this is definitely an emerging trend. Regarding the chatbot being politicized or not, that's actually a very good question. I think that the main problem is the misuse of this type of technology. So we did an investigation about how is it easy to produce propaganda using chatbots, so what is now called synthetic propaganda. So, for example, creating a campaign for a certain election completely made by chatbot. While testing this on several chatbots, we actually found that they were prone to give advice on, for example, discouraging people from voting, or they were reusing claims promoted by the far right, but honestly not only. We think that the fact per se is quite interesting, not to use this chatbot, we say as propaganda as a service, no? Like a tool that you can use to produce propaganda as a service. We think that this usage should be discouraged, and also together with moderation on election-related neutral questions, we advocated for a certain type of moderation on synthetic propaganda generation. Unfortunately, we saw many parties using it anyway, so we studied the presence of this generative AI content during French and European elections, and we found that several parties, at the time mostly far right across Europe, were systematically using these tools to produce sensationalized images and representation of migration or other issues. So we think that's actually quite problematic, because the intention of the actor will always somehow overcome the moderation of the chatbot. So it's not only a technological problem, it's also an agreement that we should find among politicians and citizens on what is a correct usage of this technology. Stop here.
Yeah. Buongiorno, Salvatore. Well, it was from activist to activist. I thank you so much for your work and effort that you are putting in, what you were talking, me from a lower level, but I try to do the same. I don't have that much knowledge, but I hope to get to that point and spread the information. I have two questions. One is about LLM. Do you think it could be a profitable model to have some fully unbiased model, from the system also for the user, because the model always learns from the user and tries to please. So will the user maybe try to not use it that much because it doesn't please that much? I don't know. And the second question is, what do you think about the chat control movement that is now in Europe? Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. So models, there is a lot of people actually playing with these models and trying to find the right flavor for them. I think that at a certain point we will have also custom LLMs that we can produce in-house, let's say with relatively small technical complexity. I think that it's always important not to be able to shape the technology we use. So I definitely encourage to try to take maybe an open model and play with it. We are also trying to do this internally. We think it's actually interesting to study them, and also interesting to question yourself what an efficient or right chatbot should do. That's it could be a very difficult question to answer. But then this is the right way to go about it, not to design the technology for your usage instead of being used by technology. Regarding chat control, there are two things that are we see as emerging issues in the regulation space. One is chat control, the other is age verification. So we are clearly against chat control. We don't think that breaking encryption is increasing safety for anyone. So we definitely advocate against it. Honestly, I think that also politicians are using encryption quite a lot. We see a US government using Signal instead of their internal communication channel. I'm not sure there is actually an interest, even from politics, to actually doing it till the end. So I hope this will not be will not become law. Regarding age verification, that's actually already law. So this is part of European regulation, also in the UK, in the US, in several states. Like, it's happening. It's probably too late to say, like, we don't want it, because we already have it. Then, like, the question is, how do we implement it in a way that is safeguarding users and their privacy? So we recently published a study on AgeGo, which is one of the several age verification tools that you can find online, and we found several problems. This age verification tool was leaking personal information to Amazon. It was basically somehow like related to the website that were using them. We're using this tool, which is somehow not how it is supposed to be. This tool should be independent from the platform that they that use them. There are also like zero knowledge solutions. Some also discussed and investigated by people attending this conference, like Jaromil, and I encourage like people to actually look at these solutions, because at least if we have to implement something, it should be something responsible and designed in the proper way, not to collect data, but to actually do the opposite. So we are trying to advocate for like an ecosystem where this type of solution are the main solution used across platform, and this is not a way to implement more surveillance and more tracking of personal data. So that's, I hope, will be the direction.
So that's it. Time is running. It was a pleasure to have you here, Salvatore. If you have more questions, he will be here for some time. And
Thank you very much.
thanks a lot.